At 50K, I can tell you right now, the two biggest expenses that people overspend on. Can you guess what they are?
So do you have an advisor? What do you do?
Fucking crazy. It makes no sense. There are four numbers and four numbers only that are critical to tracking. That's multimillionaire status guaranteed. Yep. Now, do I look at someone who's spending 50K and I look at all their numbers? I speak to them routinely on the podcast. People making 50K, people making $1 million a year. I see it all. At 50K, I can tell you right now, the two biggest expenses that people overspend on. Can you guess what they are? 50K.
Going out to eat?
Yeah, that's a pretty good one. Although it's number 3, not number
Okay.
1 or 2.
What are the first ones?
The first one is housing. They dramatically spend more than they can on housing. And number 2 is cars. So let me quickly give people 4 key numbers that you should be looking after with your finances. And it doesn't matter if you make 50K or 500K a year. There are 4 numbers and 4 numbers only that are critical to tracking. The first is your fixed costs. These should be roughly 50 to 60% of your take home or after tax pay. Fixed costs include your rent or mortgage, utilities, cable subscriptions, any debt payments, anything that is fixed, like groceries even, okay? 50 to 60%. The second is your savings. 5 to 10% is a good starting place of take-home pay. Next would be investments, 5 to 10%, although I like to see that number higher. And finally, my favorite one, guilt-free spending. This is going out, eating out, gifts, travel, whatever. 20 to 35% of your take-home pay. Okay, so to summarize, fixed costs 50 to 60, savings 5 to 10, investments 5 to 10, and guilt-free spending 20 to 35. If you know those 4 numbers, a lot of things become clear. I talked to a couple last night. They showed me their numbers. They make sort of what we're talking about, a little bit more, but in that ballpark. And they are spending 88% of their take-home pay on fixed costs. Okay, now, let me tell you, the way that manifests in their relationship is they fight over Target and groceries. And they're always like, oh, we shouldn't do this, we shouldn't do that. I go, guys, none of that matters because your fixed costs are too high. And so what most people don't want to do is look at the real problem. They simply look at the symptoms. And that's why they end up nitpicking each other about these tiny expenses. But my contention and what I've seen over 20 years is you focus on these big things, get these numbers in order, and the rest of the details become mere trivialities.
I think one of the ways it helps, and so I will bring in the financial advisor conversation now, and you can walk me through this. One of the things that I like is we sat down, looked at both of our incomes, and then allocated a percentage. It's around that 10 to 15% of both of what we bring home. That it immediately this is automated. We don't have to do anything. It's set up automated that goes to both savings and investments.
Good.
And then there's an additional amount that goes to 529 plans. And this way we're paying our future selves first before anything else. And I like the automated part of this because we don't have to think about it. We think about it about once or a couple times a year because our goal, the only goals we kind of set for ourselves is to increase that amount regularly, right? We're just increasing the number so that the percentages stay in line, assuming that we're progressing in our careers. And that is a very comforting feeling that no matter what, that part is done. There's no thinking, there's no writing checks, there's nothing. It is just happening automatically without us thinking. And that was sat down and done with a financial advisor. What do you think? That's probably two-parter because the financial advisor is separate from that, even though that person was involved. What do you think about that methodology?
Overall strategy is great. Fantastic. I'm a huge fan of automation. I have an entire chapter in my book, I Will Teach You to Be Rich, about automation, chapter 5. I spend less than 1 hour per month.
Help me with this. Yeah.
Oh, good. Yeah. I'm thrilled. I heard some echoes of my systems in your talk. That's great. Yeah. I think everyone should target spending less than 1 hour per month on their money. That's everything. And you often find these very peculiar beliefs people have which is like, I'm the one who manages money in our relationship. I go, okay, what does that mean to you? Oh, I make sure the bills are paid on time. I'm like, listen, a robot can do that. You don't need to do that. It's actually it's beneath your time. So
you can automate pretty much all of those.
Yeah. The more valuable thing is what you said, creating a set of rules that serve you both. Every year, we want to increase our savings rate by 1%. Amazing. Yep. That's more valuable than any amount of coffee you can cut back on. The fact that you have a joint system and you both know their percentages, incredible. That's multimillionaire status guaranteed. It is going to happen. It's just a matter of time for most people. So I love everything you're saying. As for the advisor, you want to talk about that?
Yes, go ahead. Unless there's anything else from missing from the automation that we've set up.
No, it's great. Okay. Fantastic. Okay. How much do you pay your advisor?
I think it ends up being 1%.
All right. So let's talk about this.
Which, by the way, is another part of this that's kind of hard to fully know, as you know, like what they have this AUM model, right? Their assets under management in a certain percentage, and you kind of, Anyway, let's say it's 1%.
Let me explain my thoughts on this. First of all, there can be good reasons to use a financial advisor. Those reasons would be if you have a complex financial system or situation like stepchildren, close to retirement age, things like that. Most people can do it on their own. That's exactly why I wrote my book. There's plenty of DIY systems you can do it. But some people need a little help. I have no problem with that. However, I would never, ever pay a percentage of assets under management or AUM. Let me explain why. When you go to get your oil changed, I have no problem paying Jiffy Lube $50. If I want somebody to mow my lawn or be my lawyer, I had no problem paying a lot of money, even premium prices. Mm-hmm. But I don't see myself paying a percentage of my net worth for somebody to change my oil. Do you?
It's a good point, man.
Fucking crazy. It makes no sense.
So do you have an advisor? What do you do?
I have used an advisor for an ad hoc situation. I'm glad you asked, because a lot of people think that I'm totally against advisors. It's not true. I've hired an advisor. I wanted a second set of eyes on my asset allocation. I was like, all right, I know this stuff, but everybody needs a coach at some point. So I took it to this advisor. I said, I want to pay you to look at my asset allocation and review it and see what holes or things I missed. Now, I paid him, I think it was an hourly fee, and whatever he quoted, I paid it. Also, some advisors quote a per project fee. Once a year, they'll sit down with you, charge you $1,000 or whatever. Great. I had no problem. In the grand scheme, that's money well spent. But let's talk about your AUM. 1% for a guy like you, young guy, affluent, high earning, going up, will cost you hundreds and hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. Just to give you an example, I had a young woman, 31 years old. She DM'd me on Instagram. She goes, Ramit, I've heard you talking about advisors. I think I might be getting ripped off. I don't know. I go, okay, tell me your numbers. She makes 80K. She's, like I said, about 30. She was paying 1%. And I said, okay, cool. I ran her numbers. I said, over the course of your life, how much do you think you will pay in fees to this advisor? She goes, I have no idea. I go, just guess. She goes, like 50 grand. I go, how do you feel about that? She goes, I feel okay. Turned out to be over $300,000 in fees. And that's conservative. My estimate was actually a lot more.
It kind of tells me I'm in the wrong business.
Probably.
It should be a financial advisor.
People love getting AUM. They fucking love it because think about it. It's amazing. You're charging customers an amount they don't even know how much they're paying.
Right.
Okay. And they think like, oh, this magical advisor is getting me better returns in the market, which is not true. Your advisor will not get you better returns over the long term.